Hi dear friends, click on the like button and the subscribe button, hit the bell icon and don't forget to follow me on Instagram.
Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving the Honda Civic. Now this is the 2012 model. Let's quickly open the engine bay and show it to you. So you can see this is the familiar engine which was sold with the Civic, which was in India. That was between 2006 to 2011. It's a 1.8 liter unit and the engine bay is actually quite compact. The design is an evolution from the car which was sold in India. So the Civic which was sold in India was the 8th generation model. This is the 9th generation model. 8th generation model went from 2006 to 2012. This was launched in 2012, 2012 to 2016, and 2016 the 10th generation model was unveiled and also showcased in 2018 at the Auto Expo for the Indian market, which will be launched later this year. You can see the design is familiar and similar to the one which was sold in the Indian market. In fact, this actually passes off as the Civic which was sold in India. It's nice, it's aggressive, but you know, when Honda came up with this model, it was just an evolution, so much so that the length, width, height, everything is the same as its previous generation. Yes, that's right, the 8th generation. Now this is not the top trim, it's a base trim, so it doesn't get alloy wheels, it gets wheel caps. Ironically, they are golden colored at the rear, at the front they're silver color. I don't know what kind of design that is. And yes, it looks very nice. Now the Indian model had circular lights, this one doesn't. And because the 8th generation model, the one which was sold in India, was already ahead of its time, when Honda decided to make the 9th generation model, they didn't really have to do much with the design because the older model was already very futuristic. Now it does look very nice and attractive, but the 10th generation is just something else. So certainly a good looking car. Now let me quickly open the boot and show it to you. So there is no button to open the boot over here somehow, and the boot is actually very dirty, but it's decent size to keep a lot of luggage. Now obviously it doesn't get an alloy wheel over here because it doesn't get alloy wheel on the outside either. Spare wheel is from Canada, I don't know what that is, but it's a space saver tire, 135/80/15. So let's quickly get inside the rear and see how much space is on offer. Car is locked. Unlocking it. Well, the seats are comfortable again because it's kind of the base trim. There's no center armrest over here. Door pockets are large enough to keep 1 liter bottles. I forgotten my camera cap, so I'll just keep it in my pocket right away. And yeah, the seats are actually comfortable. So Honda actually shortened the wheelbase on this car but still improved interior room, and there's good amount of space at the rear. I am feeling quite comfortable here. The seats are very supportive as well, but under thigh support is obviously lacking. Headroom is decent enough, I would say. My hair is not touching the roof yet. I say yet because in case it grows, it might just touch. The cabin is wide enough. 3 people can sit at the rear, and the floor is flat, so that also helps its cause. You get magazine holders over here, somehow you don't get it over here, and the seat back is also scooped out. Now obviously it gets headrests at the rear which are adjustable, side curtain airbags, this to hold on to, as well as a hook to keep your blazer or something like that. There's a light over here at the rear which kind of feels cheap to operate, and overall the cabin does feel like a nice place to be in. Let's quickly get into the front of this car. Now because this is the base trim, or rather it's a lower trim, it misses out on a lot of equipment. You can see the door pockets are large enough to keep stuff. These are the controls for the outside rear view mirrors as well as the power window switches. This is to open the boot as well as the fuel lid, and there's this lock button, so you know you can prevent anyone from opening the fuel lid or the boot. Seats are comfortable but somehow extremely dirty on this particular car which I'm driving right now. Econ mode is here as well. You can see there is a nice big fat place to keep your left foot, and the biggest flaw with this car is that the steering is on the wrong side. Anyways, you can see the glove box is large enough to keep stuff, and although this car is very dirty, there's space over here ahead of the gear lever to keep stuff, as well as a 12-volt charging socket and aux plug. There's also a nice deep place to keep stuff over here below the AC controls, and these are the controls for the audio system. By the way, higher variants also get a touchscreen system over here. Below the armrest there's space to keep stuff. There's also a USB plug over here, and yeah, you also get playing cards, which I think was optional on this particular variant, and small versions of the playing cards, as well as a lot of scents. Sorry for the dirt inside the vehicle. Twin cup holders over here. Handbrake is nicely positioned. This is kind of scooped out because obviously the handbrake has to go into that place. And in terms of equipment, there isn't much as such because this is a lower variant, but high variants used to get a sunroof as well. Now you can see over here you get a mirror but no light. Same here, a mirror but no light. These are the lights for the cabin. No auto dimming inside rear view mirror. Let's quickly turn on the car right away. So the car is now turned on. Typical Honda noise again, because this was an evolution from the old car. Let me turn off the air conditioning, and here we go. Air conditioning is off. Hazard light button. Steering feels very nice to hold. It gets cruise control. These are the controls for the audio. This is to use the phone, which is similar to the one in the city, and this is to operate that multi-information display. So it says check tire pressure, average fuel consumption 23 miles per gallon, range is 70 miles, shows you time, odometer, temperature. I know it says 87 degrees Fahrenheit, which is approximately I think 30 degrees, or actually more than 30 degrees. Tire pressure warning. It also says passenger airbag. I don't know why. Anyways, this is a 5-inch screen which was available on all variants except the base, I think, which was a DX. You can also put a wallpaper over here, see an analog clock. Meanwhile, over here on the left, you see the fuel meter. On the right, you get a real-time mileage indicator. In the center, you get a speedometer, which is obviously in miles per hour. You get a tachometer over here along with telltale lights. And overall, this cabin, especially the way this instrument cluster has been done, looks extremely futuristic. I love how the speedometer is placed way ahead and the tachometer is over here. Again, this was an evolution from the Civic, which was sold in the Indian market and looks absolutely fab. You actually feel like you're sitting in a cockpit. So definitely a thumbs up to that. Now let's quickly listen to music. Okay, there's nothing on the audio. Let me try to figure a source.
Or call 1-800. Yeah. Within 2 bills for 18 months if you can. Balance 2 with approved.
Audio quality isn't the best, but remember one thing, it was radio, so the reception isn't the greatest over here because I'm near the beach. The view from inside is good. Actually, Honda has slimmed the A-pillars for better visibility, and overall improvements have been made to this car to make it much better, but still it could have been way better than it was. Actually, Honda did a half-hearted attempt with the 9th generation Civic. So let's get driving. Air conditioning off, handbrake down, and I put it into drive mode. It also gets a sport mode as well as a low mode. Basically, when you're climbing hills, it will keep it in the lowest gap possible. So to start off with, let me tell you that the steering of this car has been dulled. I mean, it doesn't feel as responsive as the Civic, which was sold in the Indian market. Now Honda wanted to make this car more mature, obviously, and that's the reason why they did this, which many people did not appreciate. In fact, enthusiasts really did not like this. Now the controls for the headlight as well as the indicators are on the left. That's usually the case with every car which is sold in the American market. Meanwhile, I haven't used the wipers, so you can see the wipers work well, but they're kind of worn out and they are the other side. So they also look very cool when you operate them. Yes, it has got a good amount of punch, and let me quickly take a turn here. So the turning radius is good and nice. It's easy to drive this car. Definitely it is, in fact, very easy to drive this car. Just look at the ease with which you can turn it. So the steering has been dulled in the interest of ease of driving and giving it a maturity, but somehow it just doesn't have the feel you would expect from a Civic. It actually feels like a Corolla, which is very disappointing. So let's join the main road and let's get into sport mode right away. Beautiful Cadillac. There is another Civic which is going. A Volvo, a BMW 3 Series, and a Ford Flex. Actually looks nice. So here we are on the road, full on the throttle. There's a Mustang right in front of me, and you can see there is not good amount of punch as such. Now to manually take control of things, you just can't do that because there are no paddle shifters on this particular vehicle. There is no Triptronic function. I'm in sport mode right now, and this motor revs till 6,500 RPM, and in fact it revs till 6,800 RPM, and the engine is actually quite refined. The sound is very well contained from this car. It doesn't feel loud, it doesn't feel thrashy at all, and the refinement is a definite improvement in this vehicle. However, it still doesn't have the punch. The 1.8 liter engine produces 140 horsepower, which by the way isn't much, and 177 Newton meters of torque. It was only available with the petrol engine along with a hybrid as well in the US. The ride quality is very good. They've worked on the suspension, they've improved it definitely, and the engine makes quite a lot of noise. So this is a 5-speed torque converter gearbox. works well, gives you the shifts when you want it, but it doesn't have the urgency which you would expect from a Civic, and especially it doesn't feel so fun to drive like before. The earlier car was way better. In fact, when the Civic was launched, the 9th generation, people in the US complained right, left and center because they were just not happy with this vehicle. They were just not happy with this vehicle because it simply did not have fun to drive nature of its predecessor. I think I've taken a wrong turn over here. So let's just turn back and get onto the road again. This is another Civic. The Civic is a very popular car. In fact, it sells in such good numbers. I can't tell you how good numbers it sells because the kind of sales of the Civic made it so popular that as a brand alone, the Civic stands out. We are going to join this road right away. And here we go. Hard onto the throttle. It just revs. Yeah, it kind of revs a lot, but somehow doesn't pull. So obviously the manual is way more fun to drive. The automatic, not so much. You see how it revs? So the handling went for a toss. It doesn't feel so eager and fun as its predecessor, but the ride quality improved. High-speed stability is also very good. Wind noise is also very well contained. So definitely a lot of improvements on multiple fronts on the Civic. But as always expected, you want more. The horn doesn't sound that good either. Hard onto the throttle. Revs, so much revs, just revs and revs and revs. That's all it kind of does. I'll just tell you a very interesting tale about the Honda Civic. So basically when it was launched, it was a subcompact. Basically a subcompact car is a car which is specifically like in the city segment, but with time it grew up, and the Honda Civic is the reason for Honda to have not quit car manufacturing, because at a point they were like thinking, okay, enough, now we need to stop making cars because it's just not working for us. So Honda was about to leave car manufacturing permanently, but then they launched the Civic in 1970. The first generation Civic was so popular, it did so good sales for Honda that immediately they decided that okay, we should stay in the car business because we can do a great job. The Civic became very popular and as a subcompact, which was basically aimed in the city segment. Later it grew into the higher segment, which happens to be the D segment. Otherwise it was in the C segment, the upper C segment. So that's the story of how the Civic actually evolved, and over 10 generations the Civic has become so popular. It is one of the best selling cars in the United States of America. And still Honda decided not to bring the 9th generation car in India, which I would say thank God they did not do it, because the 9th generation Civic just doesn't have a soul. It lacks the charm. Thankfully the 10th generation brings it back. And I really don't understand why Honda dulled everything so much. I mean, if I wanted a dull car, I would probably buy a Corolla. Why would I even look at the Civic? So Honda tried to make a Corolla with the Civic. That's where things went kind of wrong. But that said, the pricing was attractive. They did not increase the price from the 8th generation to the 9th generation. The pricing was around 12 to 20 lakh rupees depending on the variant, because there was also a coupe version of the car. There was also an SI, and overall the Honda Civic was just not up to the mark this particular generation of the car. Thankfully with the 10th generation they have resolved it to a great extent, and that also is something I would be driving later this year because they're going to be launching it in the Indian market. The enthusiasm is just not there. I don't know why they have dulled the steering to such a great extent. It just doesn't have the same feel and feedback of the Indian model. I mean, it could do with more enthusiasm for sure. That's it guys. If you like this vlog, you know what you have to do. Give it the thumbs up, that's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video real soon. Bye bye.